I want to take a deep dive on the concept of abundance mindset, what it is, how to cultivate it. And I do kind of have a critique of that language. I often hear the people who teach how to train your mind to become abundance. They are either people who have never experienced chronic lack, or they are talking from the experience of already having the abundance, and they're forgetting the nuance, which is that it is actually very challenging when you have real stakes that you're contending with. As irritated as I sometimes get when I hear these dismissive approaches, it's not that they're wrong, it's just that there's more to it. And so I want to talk about specifically how to feel abundant, how to cultivate an abundant mindset when you don't feel abundant, when you do not have the resources that would allow you to truly feel abundant in your day to day material, three-dimensional life. How do you cultivate this state of abundance? The thing that I love about working with people's minds is um, we have all of these superhuman abilities that we don't realize that we have because we're not taught to realize that we have them. We don't go to the gym and train our minds the same way that we go and train our glutes. So there are things that we are capable of doing that seem astronomical, that seem ridiculous, but they're not. They're just skills. I like to illustrate your internal world as like the weather that lives inside of you. So your thoughts, your feelings, your, interoception, like that is all tied to your internal weather. So if you're feeling sunny inside, that comes out as like energetic, as maybe you're feeling socially engaging, maybe you're feeling playful. Or if you're like feeling rainy and cold inside, maybe that's like sadness or feeling isolated, or whatever your internal experience is. The thing that's interesting is that unlike the external weather, which you don't have control over, you have complete control over your internal weather. You actually can decide on a rainy day that you want to feel sunny. You don't have to let the rain be the state that you're in. So, what I'm saying all of that to say, the first thing to acknowledge is that you actually do have the power to change your internal state. That is something that is completely and totally within your grasps. Grasps? I don't know why that word, like my lips trip over themselves when I say that word. But anyway, you have the power to change your state. And it only becomes easy with practice. Like, if you have never tried to change your emotional state on a dime, you're not going to be able to do it. You have to practice being able to do it. I can do it now. Like this morning was an example. I woke up feeling self-doubt. I woke up feeling like I wasn't really motivated to do the things that I know that I needed to do. And so for me, the thing that gets me out of that energy is dance. I woke up, I worked out, I do pole dance, so my dance style is fun and sexy, and that puts me in the mood. Like, I can't be like doing all these sensual moves and then still feel like lame. I don't feel lame anymore. I actually feel very like good in my body, and I took that energy that I woke up with and turned it into something else. But I was not always able to do that. I'd wake up in the morning feeling, dread about my day, and I would carry that dread through the entire day because I didn't realize that I had a choice to change it. And I also didn't know what things would help me to actually change my state. I'm always going to recommend as the number one option to change your state to get into your body. And when I say get into your body, I honestly, I don't care what you're doing. You can walk, you can do a Pilates video, you can dance, you can stretch. I don't care. It actually doesn't matter what you're doing, but having a consistent practice of visiting your body, like you're accessing embodied intelligence that is often so much wiser and like light years ahead of your intellectual intelligence. You just need to spend time there. Moving your body changes your state. Point blank period. Meditating also changes your state. Breath work also changes your state. Try it out and see, like, okay, this is how I was feeling before I started the thing. This is how I feel after I started the thing. You need to notice what things change your internal weather. And that's how you build the skill for being able to do that on command. The more you notice that you can do it, the more power you have over being able to do it. So now I have like a toolbox of things that I go to if I need a state change. I might jump in the shower. I might jump in the bath. I might put on, I have several different playlists that will kind of evoke whatever emotional fuel I want or need to experience in the moment. I look at it like that. You know what? I'm thinking about this now, and I honestly think I think the way that I have cultivated this as a practice has a lot to do with the fact that I have been playing The Sims for a very, very long time. And if anybody watching this also plays The Sims, um, it's kind of like when you get those moods, like there's different moods that you can have. Like there, you can be in a flirty mood, or you can be in an inspired mood, and there are certain things that you can do to trigger that mood. Like for example, I would always have a sim who was like a painter or a writer or something. And so I would keep art around their writing station because they would view the art and it would trigger them to have the inspired emotion, and having the inspired emotion would trigger them to make like art that sells better and makes them more money. So I kind of like treat myself like a sim. I'm not even kidding. Like whatever little things I need to do to trigger the state that I want that's going to make me effective, that's what I do. Okay, state change. So next I want to talk about the state of survival, what that feels like, and the state of abundance, what that feels like. Because the state of survival, if you're watching this video, you probably already know what the state of survival feels like because that's how you're used to feeling. The state of survival is about solving problems. It's about eliminating threats. It's about eliminating risks. It's a very like short-term survival type of focus. And there's merit to that. Like we need to be able to have that type of focus at times. However, if you're only ever focused on short-term survival, your vision is cut off. You cannot always be, or I don't want to say you cannot, you can do whatever you want, but in order to create something that requires length of time, something that requires vision, you need to be able to have vision. And if you can never see beyond exactly what's in front of you, you're not going to have the imagination resources that you will need to create the reality that you desire. So the language scarcity mindset versus abundance mindset, I'm really not a fan of because it almost like shames scarcity mindset and puts abundance mindset on a pedestal. And while I would say most of us would aspire to have a limitless abundance mindset, I don't really think it's helpful. You're working against yourself when you're beating yourself up for being in scarcity. So let's not call it that. Like let's unshame scarcity mindset because the fact of the matter is likely if you have cultivated a mindset where your main focus is eliminating threats, where your main focus is solving problems, you have been placed in a situation because of systems, because of your environment, because of your family background, where that is how you were taught to operate. And so you have been operating that way for a long time. There's no need to beat yourself up for that. Like it's a thing that happened It's a way that you think, it's a thought pattern that you're in, and it's a thing that can be changed. So let's stop calling it scarcity mindset, because that sounds like, one, it just sounds ambiguous and unspecific to me, and it sounds a little bit shaming. What I prefer to call it is threat focused, because that is what you are doing. You are focusing on eliminating threats. And when threats are real, when threats are looming, when threats are close to you, it is important to be able to do that. That is a useful skill, but you have overdeveloped that skill. You are relying heavily on that skill, and that is not the skill that you need to get you to the next level. So for the rest of this conversation, we're going to think of scarcity mindset as threat focused, okay? And so we're making over the language with abundance mindset too, because I don't like the idea of putting abundance mindset on a pedestal as if that's a place that you can always be, because it is not possible to always feel abundance when life is happening. Like, you have to choose to feel that way, and you have to choose to maintain that mindset. And if it's put on a pedestal and you think like, this is the way I need to always feel, that can turn into its own shame spiral. So I like to think of these two things as just mental modes that you can go in between based on whatever it is you need to do. So scarcity mindset, threat focused. Abundance mindset is opportunity focused. So in an opportunity focused mindset, you are not trying to solve immediate problems like, what am I going to eat? How am I going to pay my bills? Where am I going to sleep? Like, those are not the problems that are looking to be solved in an opportunity focused mindset. And that is where the challenge is, because when those are problems that you need to solve, how do you train yourself to be able to see opportunities? It may not be so helpful to try and imagine yourself as abundant right now. Like, your imagination might not be able to process that concept and believe it. But what you can look at are the opportunities that exist around you. Everything around you is something that somebody created somewhere. Money was exchanged to be able to produce this thing, product, structure, the clothes that you have on. Like, all of these things are evidence of opportunity. All of these things are evidence of creation. All of these things are evidence of production. I want to share an exercise that I have in my book, Go Love Yourself, which is available on Amazon. This book is about self-love as a real practice. And what I did is included a list of skills that you can acquire and practice in order to really like be a good steward of yourself and treat yourself as something you are in charge of mastering and taking like the most delicious care of. I'm not going to talk about the book in detail, but I want to talk about an exercise that I have, because one of the skills that I have in the book is training yourself to perceive abundance. So I'm going to read the exercise here, and I want you to actually do this, because these are the types of thought experiments that train you to be able to change your mind. Okay, so here we go. Practice seeing abundance. Take a moment to look around the room you're in. Notice the book you're holding, the paper and ink, the ideas in the book, the chair you're sitting in, the clothes on your back. Each of these items exists because someone somewhere created them, and for their efforts they were paid. This is tangible proof of the continuous flow of money, creativity, opportunity, and the exchange of value in the world. Every object around you is a product of someone's idea, effort, and the resources they had available. Every object around you came to you by some form of value exchange. Opportunity is everywhere. So I like this exercise because when you are threat focused, when you are like, I got to figure out how I'm going to pay these bills. My children are relying on me. My parents are relying on me. My spouse, whoever is relying, my dogs are relying on me. Like, I have to solve these problems. It puts you in that threat focused frame of mind. And there is like a neurochemical experience that comes with that, that feels urgent, that feels constricted. It feels like you are like going to battle. And if you are in battle, you are not also in the state of like being able to see what's possible. And so I think rather than practicing trying to see what's possible for your life and for yourself, look out and see what's possible for life in general. And this exercise doesn't require you to think of yourself as abundant. That might be too difficult right now. You might not have the imagination capacity to view yourself as abundant, but you can look around, like somebody made that ottoman, somebody made the fabric, somebody made the legs, did I buy that on Amazon? No, I bought that from Ross. Somebody who worked for Ross decided that that should be in the store. Somebody delivered it to the store. Like, there are all of these things that are happening that are evidence of opportunity, that are evidence of creation, that are evidence of value exchange. If you can't imagine yourself being having opportunities, then just look at the opportunities that exist around you. Let's summarize this, okay? Forget scarcity mindset, forget abundance mindset. Those words to me put scarcity mindset here and puts abundance mindset here. If you're listening to this and not watching, my hands are lower and higher to represent the tears. And scarcity mindset can be useful when you need to solve immediate problems. An abundance mindset is not a place of being that you should always expect yourself to be in. Your attention is your resource here. When we're talking about scarcity versus abundance, we're really talking about, what are you paying attention to? Are you focusing on your threats, or are you focusing on your opportunities? And in order to navigate life, quite honestly, you need both. But if this is something that you're struggling with, if this is something that you're working through, all that means right now is your threat-focused attention muscle is a little overdeveloped, okay? You're relying on that muscle a whole hell of a lot, and that's cool, but you got to train the other muscle too. You have to train yourself to start being able to see abundance. And actually, there's one other thing that I should have said this before I said that, but the number one thing is recognizing that you have the capacity to change your mind. You have the capacity to change your internal weather and change your state. You have to know that you have the ability to do that. You have to believe that you have the ability to do that. And you have to find ways to practice doing that, okay? So that's step one. Then step two is not pathologizing scarcity mindset, not beating yourself up for having a scarcity mindset, and not expecting yourself to always be in an abundance mindset. Recontextualize those things and think of them as mental modes of attention. You can be threat focused or you can be opportunity focused. And you have the right to choose between whichever mental mode you need to be in for the moment. You probably have an overly developed threat focused modality. That's fine. It's time to train the opportunity focused modality, and that's going to be the thing that moves you forward. So that's all for this episode of Pretty Brilliant. If you like this kind of content, please subscribe to the YouTube channel or to the podcast, or both. If you listening to the audio version, you know what? Just do it all. Just do all the things. I can be found on all socials at Just Brittany Nicole. So follow me and get in contact with me there.